What's going on, people? Episode 19, Pickers Market Podcast. We're just
Coming
crushing
along.
it. We are just crushing it. Got Gangl with us as always. We got participation trophy pickleball winner Tyler Ellegard over there.
He needs a banner
we
behind him.
Still need a rematch.
Tyler, I had to give you the business because you started the recording incorrectly, so you had to get
on that one. That's all right.
That's all right.
We got there eventually.
Gentlemen, summer's coming to a close. We're coming towards the end of that. Is that a depressing time for you or a decent time for you? What do you guys think?
For me, it's depressing. I'm a big summer guy. I like heat.
Well, you got the boat out like twice this year.
Yeah, I live on a lake and haven't been out there enough to see different projects. So the weather hasn't been that great. It's been a mild, which I think you two
That's
are probably
my jam.
More your. So
I don't like the rain.
hot.
I'm not.
Yeah.
If I could have like sunny and like 75, 80, that'd be ideal.
Yeah. That's I'm right there too.
I need 95.
Oh, on me.
That's my. So it's been a short summer that way for me, right? And so now we're getting to the end.
Have we even had a 95? I can't even think.
I read the other day. I think it was a couple.
Okay, did we get that high?
But it's
this coming Sunday is supposed to be above 90.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go. Get that boat
One
out.
more chance.
Fall time. Is that a good time?
I like fall.
Yeah.
Just because I like the a little bit cooler weather where it's like wake up, you can sleep with your windows open, throw on a sweatshirt, and then in the afternoon, like early fall, in the afternoon, take the sweatshirt off, feel great.
Does that? I assume, Jeremy, that's your.
Yes, I don't do the windows thing. I am one person that if my house is 1 degree off, I'm uncomfortable.
If we can, like this summer's been great because especially the last couple of weeks when it's been cool, we've been sleeping with our windows open. And so you wake up in the morning and your room's like 65 degrees. It's like fresh air.
Yeah, my house, I don't know. My wife seems to, in winter turns it down so we don't have to pay any heat. And then in summer, so my range at the house is pretty wide.
So you're just wearing because our office is historically cold, right?
Oh, freezing.
I'm the only one that's comfortable. You all are freezing all day long.
So cold.
But from that side, then, so your house is the same way in the wintertime? So you're just constantly cold.
Just constantly cold.
That's why a guy who likes 95.
I have a wood-burning fireplace in the basement, so I spend a lot of time down there.
In the summer.
In the summer.
Oh, well, that's good. Good stuff. All right, let's go right into the hot button topic. And the hot button for me is very simply, was that it? So, and the reason I say that is the S&P 500 after the July peak fell about 8.5%, right? And we had talked about that. It's not an official correction. I keep almost saying correction. It's an almost correction, but it was
which is 10%
downturn. Correction is actually 10%. But now we've rallied. I think it was like 8 of the last 9 days were positive, if I'm not mistaken. And we're less than 3% below the peak now. So my question to you all, give me this is are we done? Is that it? Is it all sunshine and roses now? What are we thinking?
Well, I think the recent economic data we got, being the macroeconomic guy that I am, nerding out on that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, retail sales came in pretty strong.
Yep.
Much better than expected, 1% month over month, showing consumers are still spending despite what you see in some of the other data points. So I think that really calmed the market more so than anything. And then when you look at the carry trade, right? If you look at the actual positioning, the net positioning of how that works, we're actually, rather than borrowing, or we're net positive on the carry trade right now in traders trading yen versus US dollars.
So they're carrying again?
They're not.
They're not carrying.
They've actually completely flipped their position around.
Okay.
And so they're actually net positive rather than net negative on that. I don't want to go too deep on that.
Yeah, you might lose a few people.
Yeah. So anyways,
he's already swimming in the weeds right now,
including Jeremy and myself.
Do you feel the reef hitting you?
The carry trade that sent the Japanese market and tech stocks into a big shock.
Yeah.
That has now been reversed and normalized again.
Okay.
So I think between that and then strong economic data, people are
okay again,
all roses again, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're just in a squishy time of the year.
Yeah,
I mean, this kind of Q3. This is normally not the greatest time anyway, and then you had soft economic data. You had this carry yen trade that Tyler's talking about, a few things like that, caused a cascade of the market for a few days, sold off that 8.5%. We've seen better economic news, which obviously, we've seen Target this morning, a really good number.
Yep.
Walmart, we'll get to those two here a little bit, I think.
Sure.
But I think those have kind of stabilized. And I don't think where it's all roses going from here. I think it's just going to be choppy. We're going to see this down 8%, rally 7%. We may be down 3-4% and a rally. And then on top of that, we always have the fun season of election coming up, which there's going to be different policies thrown out there that, investors are going to take and look at and say, is that good or bad? How does that impact my overall portfolio? So I do expect it just to be kind of a grind, and it's going to be a little volatile.
Gotcha. Yeah. I kind of lean where you lean on that one. Is I think overall, if I were to say it, is like, I would not be surprised if we bounced up and down and ended up in the same place we are right now. Right. Is kind of in a few months. And August and September, usually you have, maybe we preempted it. Maybe this August one was the only thing that we get, but usually you get some level of form in these months, especially a pre-election type of month could certainly create that. So I think, I just be prepared for more volatility and just ups and downs, but it could go both ways, right? Is that, you go up, you go down, and you end up in the same spot. And not a whole heck of a lot has been different, but you just chopped around during those periods of time where everybody's looking for a reason why. And it could be just markets are usually a little bit volatile sometimes.
Yeah. And you got to remember, we're up 18, when I say 18%, that's the overall market. The S&P 500 after last year was up, 24-25%. So it's had a nice run. So
that's pretty darn good.
So that's why I do think sometimes the market looks for reasons to sell off, and
Absolutely.
whether it's this yen trade or, 1 week data point, it's like also the market sells off aggressively. It's like, it's probably in my mind looking for an excuse to kind of pull back for some reason until you start seeing some better data.
Yeah.
Well, even with that sell off, I think the market was still up 8-9% after. So I mean,
which is a normalized year.
Normalized year.
Yeah.
So
not too bad at all. From so on this rally, if you will, it seems to be, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong here, but it seems to be kind of the stuff that brought us up, right? Is that, from September till July, we had the AI trade, those types of names, semiconductors, these kinds of companies that were really kind of driving that rally. Then we had the correction, and now coming back, it seems to be back to the old playbook. Would you guys disagree with that, or is that accurate? And do you think that's kind of the case that if there is a re-rally, let's just say if, the old dogs that bring us back up, or will there be some new entrants in that soup?
I think there'll be new entrants. And the reason I say that is we're expecting a rate cut in September at this point. I think it's pretty much a certain for the Fed.
Ooh, he hits a certainty. That is a word I never.
I got to back up a few episodes. Tyler, and
as much as I don't want them to, I still think they could wait till December. But I think given what the market is pricing in and how close we are to that meeting, now we'll get some information out of Jackson Hole this week.
Sure.
And that certainly could change, but the market initially after that drawdown, if you want to call it, rather than a correction, was pricing in 50, talking about an emergency rate cut in August,
which was dumb, but nonetheless
not great. But now the market's kind of rationalized what's happening, the slowness of the economy. And so I think 25 is probably fine, as much as I would want them to do that. So I think it gives the Fed a reason to start cutting in maybe December again and do like a cut, pause. And so the reason I'm telling you this is I think you're going to get other entrants outside of the big guys, maybe a mid cap rally because you have lower interest rates.
Okay. So you get the rate cutting rally.
Yes.
The rate cutting names rally.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe not what we had a few weeks ago with the small caps ripping up, 30% in 10 days or whatever it was. I don't think that's going to happen again. But I do think you might see more of that mid-cap tech or mid-cap growthy type name work out better.
Cool. Gangl, what do you think?
I a little bit agree. I mean, I think this last re-rally here it's easy the trade to go back to is the big guys. Let's go buy them. It's easy. They're liquid. Fundamentally, they've been executing, so they have not missed yet. I mean, obviously, we get the big guy reporting next week, which is NVIDIA, right? I think that's the tone for the next month when they report. So I think that's a key one to watch. But I think that was the easy trade back, and now I think that re-rally here, we're kind of back to a level now. I think you could start seeing that broadening out again. I agree with Tyler. I don't think it's going to be this mad rush to that small cap. Saw that huge rally. I think it's going to be more. You have to look at each individual companies, and there's going to be some small caps that are going to work. There'll be some mid caps. I don't think you need to ditch all these large cap growth names either. I do think you can probably pare them back.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts on the whole.
Yeah. I think, wearing the exact same things that, it's always a little dangerous to wear the exact same things that brought you here. What brought you to the party sometimes doesn't leave, you don't leave there with them.
Yeah.
So you want to be a little careful there, but I think you're absolutely right, is that they're growing and they're doing really well. So I guess I don't have any particular problem with owning some of them. You just don't have to be loaded up on them. Diversifying out's not a problem.
The other thing that I throw in there about the recent re-rally is part of the equation for the carry trade with the Japanese yen was investors buying U.S. tech stocks. So what caused that drawdown was them getting out of their yen and selling their tech stocks to do so.
Gotcha.
So that money has to go back somewhere.
Got it.
And I think maybe not to the same extent of money flow was coming back to them, but I think part of that carry trade is coming back to those names. Just the money had to flow back in somewhere. Okay. They had to reinvest their money somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing it was more so in the tech stocks, but I don't think that was a big portion of the re-rally, but I just think that is part of the equation.
That's why I said it's kind of the easy trade, right? Yeah. Those are well-known names. Fundamentals are still solid. They're still growing. Valuations are relatively reasonable. So if you do want to get back into the market easily, quickly, without having to do a ton of work on some small cap, mid cap name you don't know very well, I think it's just easy. Okay, I'm going to go buy these names. Fundamentals are good, and that's where you get to. Now, going from here forward, I do think there'll be a little bit more work needs to be done, and that's where there's some opportunities in those small mid-cap names.
Interesting. Do you think Tyler is the author of carrytrade.com?
I don't know. I was thinking that. If I had that sound bar over here, it would have been carry trade. If we had to hear carry trade one more time, Tyler, I don't know.
I'll be done. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I think that's part of the equation of the re-rally.
Hey, we agree with you. Once we wake up,
I'm done with the carry trade. I'm done.
Quickly, because we talked about this last week or a couple weeks ago. I apologize, I don't remember, but Walmart and Target kind of being our proxy for things to look at about consumer data, right? You talked about retail sales number. I think those were better than expected. I think that was clear. Walmart and Target just recently have reported their numbers. Gangl, I'll let you kind of run this one. How's the consumer hiding in their turtle shell? Are they doing okay?
No, the consumer's still doing well. And the reason we always talk about the consumer is, again, they drive almost 70% of the overall GDP growth rate. So they're very important. I mean, people are working. They have money in their pockets. They love to spend. And a couple of the primary beneficiaries recently have been names like Walmart. I mean, they fit all, especially if you start worried about prices coming, how much money you have to spend. You're going to go down to the trade down. I think that's where Walmart's very well positioned. Mm-hmm. And they've been executing. They've been fantastic. They're doing comps like 4.3%. That's a big number for a company that big. Their margins are continue to increase. They seem to have the right products. They have 60% of their business exposed to food, groceries, right? So those are must-haves. Even if you're worried about spending, you're still going to spend there. We saw that trade we've talked about several times the last couple of years. We've gone from buying stuff to maybe travel and experiences. Now I think you're starting to go back a little bit more to the buying stuff
again.
And I think stuff that offers value. And I think that's where Walmart's reigns king. Same with Costco, another name we like. I love, we talk about all the time. And Target reported this morning, fantastic number as well. So I think that cohort of names does very well in this situation, regardless of where the consumer's spending.
Gotcha.
I also think going into Walmart, like the company themselves have done a very good job of getting better at marketing to the more premium customer, I think. And the reason I say that is, like, from a home design, I'm not a big designer, but my wife loves to design stuff, rooms in our house. And she's actually found some pieces from Walmart.
Nice.
Which they're on the cheaper side. You don't have to pay an arm and a leg to go to Pottery Barn or whatever. I don't know the fancy shops names. She does. But so I think they've done a good job of transitioning their brand not only to like a lower end consumer, but also to market to the higher end to get those customers in the door, which I think is an important part for Walmart. Because
and the online part of it, right? Which is easier to shop, even if you don't necessarily want to set foot in Walmart. Well, you can,
like, even 5 years ago, when you say Walmart, most people just think of like lower end consumer, right? Whereas now I think that they're having a pretty good shift, and they've talked about it on their calls lately of having a higher end consumer come into their store, or selling to the higher end consumer. And I think the online part of that. is
Yeah,
a big
Jeremy,
component.
I think you mentioned that a while ago. Is Walmart's not generally a store you shop at, right? But you certainly do online a lot of shopping, and that's a place now you can find yourself shopping from.
Absolutely. It's changed. Yeah, I probably have given Walmart more money in the last year than I have in the prior 6 years, but I have never stepped foot in the store because of their delivery mechanisms and all the other stuff. Now it's in my door in 3 hours, which is great. And their online access and capabilities are good too. All right. Well, that's putting me. Yeah. Okay. I see what you guys did here, because one of the things I want to do here. So let's have a little fun with this. Occasionally Keith and I buy things, but we tend to have a lot of overlap in the things we like and don't like, right? Yep. Occasionally you own things that I don't, and I own things that you don't.
Yep.
One of the ones that you own that you guys just sandbagged me on is Walmart. You own Walmart. I do not. So in the fashion of Hamilton without rapping.
No boy.
Or in the fashion of, since we just cleared the Olympics, the breakdancing. I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was 1-on-1 where they would battle it out. Let's battle it out a little bit here.
Unless it's a carry trade, Tyler.
Well, yeah, carry trade. This segment is sponsored by carrytrade.org over there. .net. Sorry. Let's battle it out. So I already gave you a little bit from this side. So you own it.
Yep.
I'll let you start. You tell me. I think you gave a little bit of the case, but maybe you didn't give the full case on the stock. Why do you own it?
By the way, Jeremy does not.
And I have cleared. Yes, I do not own this stock. You guys sandbagged me and told me why. Oh, you're shopping more often there. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with starting off a little bit back. It's like the 400 in the Olympics. I'll start a little further back.
Last thing I'll chime in here on this, because I'll let you two kind of go at it, is I own Walmart of Mexico. So
yeah. Oh, Tyler's team Gangl here.
I'm team Walmart.
So I was gonna have Tyler be the judge, but clearly, this is the East German judge. All right, figure skating judge right now.
Not a lot of times I can have an overlap of stocks with you guys. No. So the fact that I can have a Walmart overlap, there you go.
That's a mic drop already. I don't think we even need to talk about it. But no, it's a name I've owned for several years. It's a core holding, especially when you look at U.S. consumers. Again, love the U.S. consumers. They spend, and a place they spend, which is the largest retailer, obviously, is Walmart. And there's times when you don't want to own as much Walmart or not own any Walmart at all. But I think for the last several years, they've been in a great position. Mm-hmm. They've been increasing their operating margins, which is great, right? I mean, these are low operating margin businesses, but they add value to customers. And when times are good, maybe you want to have less exposure to Walmart. But I think in these choppy times, like we've been talking about for these last several, podcasts, is consumers getting a little pinched and they're looking for value. And that's exactly what Walmart represents, right? They did a comp of 4.3%. It doesn't sound that big where you hear other stores doing, big numbers, but everybody got excited about Target this morning doing a 2% comp, right? Yep. So just to put that in perspective, where Target was negative comps, that means year over year, you're bringing less money than the year before. Whereas if Walmart, the size of that they're actually doing a 4.3%. They have internet, which is, I think, about 13% of the overall business now. They have, a huge fan of Costco. I've always got to mention Costco on my show, but they have Sam's Club, right? And they got Sam's Club, which is, 10, 12% of the overall revenue. So they're well diversified, and you got a lot of fingers in different buckets. And valuation, a little stretch, I'll give you that, but that's about it. It's a core name.
See how he just threw that in there at the end? He's like, I know where you're going to attack. So I'm going to talk about it now. Cause you're okay. I everything you said, I think is accurate, which is about a company. I'm talking about a stock.
Yes.
Which can be very different from time to time. Right. So I'm not going to give you any fancy charts or any, hardcore, but I just like to buy low and sell high. It's kind of our mantra here, right?
That is ideal investment philosophy for anybody, not just here.
I got 4 notes I just want to cover with you.
Boy,
here.
he's actually done some real.
I've done work. I've done work, baby.
He's trying to defend himself.
Yeah. So let's start with the fact that Walmart on a next 12 months price to earnings, which is what we use kind of to gauge the expensive or cheap
just
stocks.
General valuation when you pay for something.
29 times. FactSet is a pretty cool tool that we have. It can go 20 years back. that is a 20-year high.
Yeah.
So it is trading more expensively now than it has in the last 20 years. Relative to the market, which we use quite a bit, right? When we kind of gauge, well, maybe the market's expensive, so everything's a little bit more expensive, right? Well, the only other time that in the last 20 years that Walmart has been more expensive was in 2008 when, well, the world's falling apart, but maybe we'll still shop at Walmart for butter, right? That's the only other time it was more expensive relative to the market than it is now.
And I don't think we're in 2008, just so you know.
I don't think so either. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't think our economy is gonna not be around in a month. And then the last couple of things. So valuation, I think you can agree that that's a little expensive, right? That what I said is probably a little high. So from 2018 to 2023, sales grew 4%, which is right around counts because their stores don't grow, right? They're everywhere.
No, they're
right.
It's not like they have square footage growth with some smaller retailers have.
Yeah. So sales grew 4% from 2018 to 2023. That makes kind of sense, right? EPS grew at 7%, little margin expansion, little buyback, all that fun stuff, right? Walmart is kind of Walmart. That's what you guys were telling me just now, right? Walmart, pretty much Walmart. Maybe changing the e-commerce a little bit more, pivoting a little bit.
Sam's Club.
So now, Sam's Club,
Hey, they own 60% of Walmart of Mexico.
Oh, that's right. Tyler needs to get his pitch.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Well, we couldn't talk carry trade. So I just wanted to give you this, that the estimates now going forward, let's go outward because that's what we look at when we buy a stock.
That's where stocks get priced going forward.
Exactly.
I mean, all the stuff
can't
we talked
look backward.
about. Can't look backward.
So we're looking forward. Sales estimate for the next 4 years. Now, again, that can be squishy. 4%. Can grow at the same sales rate that it did before, even though now you're paying a 20-year high multiple. Because EPS growth is estimated to be 11%.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe. Maybe I'm wrong, but Walmart is kind of Walmart, right? They're going to grow they're going to grow the sales at the same pace, but they're going to grow earnings at almost twice the rate. Why?
Online's part of it, right?
Okay.
And you get better margins, efficiencies, right? There's different things that they're doing that are making the store more efficient. Now, can you go from that 7-8% growth to 10-11? I think it's possible. I mean, that's kind of where the street estimates are right now. Again, that's, people throwing a little bit of darts, a little bit of guidance from the company, but I do think they can get there, and that's why it's at this multiple. And if you look at the stock, if we had a chart here, you could just pull it up at home, or if you're listening to it, I think we're all at all-time highs. I don't know what Jeremy doesn't like about stocks that are, I mean, obviously
buying stocks at all-time highs. Yeah, I got a little bit of a problem.
I'm just saying, how about owning them? If you own them at all times, it's not the terrible thing to obviously, right? If we knew where the peak was, if I knew the peak's right here, I'd be selling it. And again, your case for valuation, which you talked about in the past, valuation is not the only reason to be selling a stock, right? So
it's usually not even that great of a reason, to be honest.
No, and the timing, again, it's been stretched. So honestly, I've actually trimmed it in the last 6 months as well due to valuation. But if they keep on executing like they are, there's no reason that the stock can't continue to work. Now, do I think it's going to work as well as it has in the last 18 months? Probably not. But do I think it can still outperform the overall market? Yes, I do. So that's where I'm at. I'll give you valuation.
Something in motion tends to stay in motion. Isn't that one of the laws of physics?
Short term. But over longer periods of time, what you pay for something tends to be a big driver in what you get.
Do you see something that's going to derail the story from what's going on in the last 6 months to a year?
If I were saying in the next 6 months to 12 months, probably not, to be completely honest with you. If I'm looking out, though, 3 to 4 years, what I look at this, what I say, why I don't own the stock right now, let's say I don't own it. Would I be buying it now? And my answer is no. And here's the reason why. Yeah. At this level of multiple, you almost have to beat to exceed every time going forward. You're kind of, I always hate to say priced for perfection, but you're priced for pretty good news here right now. And then secondarily, I do believe that estimates are a little rosy here. I think we're overestimating their one growth profile, maybe a little bit, and then secondarily the margin profile from that. I think that generally retailers don't expand that well. Even if you're going into e-commerce and doing those kinds of things, competition kind of weeds that out. So from my side, I think we're probably overestimating their growth profile, and I think we're paying too high a multiple. That's why I wouldn't buy it right now.
Yeah, Yeah, I get that argument, but I think they're actually for their size, they're actually gaining share. Right?
Sure.
I think they're crushing the small guys even more so than they have in the past. So I do think they're going to remain a winner. And at some point in time, that's going to slow. But their executing has actually gotten better last quarter, several quarters. I mean, this last quarter they reported a few weeks ago, that was fantastic, and that's why the stock was actually, I think, up 6% in one day. Again, that's a lot for a big cap name to be up 6%. This kind of name as well. So, and again, we saw a little bit of proof in the pudding that the category is doing better is with Target, which is kind of executed the last several quarters. That stock actually finally put up a good comp, beat EPS, kind of raised guidance a little bit, and the stock's up 15%. Again, this is as of recording. So it's, I think the category as well is doing I think consumers are looking for value, and I think the Walmarts of the world, the Targets of the world, the Costco's of the world, they are providing that, and that's why the stocks are finally getting rewarded. And the one that hasn't been has been Target. And that trades at a 14 multiple, right? Is that a name you'd own, or switching gears a little bit, is that something that you would be interested in?
Yeah, I was nervous about the discretionary spend,
which is a lot higher than Walmart. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. We said this before, is that Walmart, things you have to buy, kind of Target is things you kind of want to buy.
Yep.
I was a little more nervous than on the things you want to buy. That's why I didn't own it. But yes, that is one I would look at much more aggressively and saying, today's run is pretty aggressive. I'd have to see where the numbers end up shaking out. But from that perspective, that's one where I can say, hey, are estimates reasonable here? Because I am paying a discounted multiple to where I could maybe get some upside from that stock going forward. That would be a different argument. I think both of those, I think the companies in and of themselves, like I don't want to disparage either. I think they're excellent companies. It's just when we talk about stocks, that's the second component for me is this a reasonable valuation to where I can get earnings upside and valuation upside that causes me to outperform as a result? I just think it's less in Walmart. I think Target is an interesting opportunity.
Here's my take on Walmart's valuation, though, is I think maybe the 30 multiple isn't necessarily warranted, but I also think they're so massive at this point. Like talking about their revenue growth of 4%. So their trailing 12-month revenue is $665 billion.
That's a big number.
That's a pretty big number. So even if we're talking 4% growth, that's about $30 billion a year that they're growing their sales at.
Sure.
So the bigger they get, the smaller that growth rate is going to become, but it's still a significant dollar amount. And so I think just that staple of the company being able to generate $650 billion is kind of a baseline for them. That's a significant value add for consumers that will continue to shop at their store because they have the products that they need. So I think there may be, and Target, as you just mentioned, is more of something that you want rather than need. And so if Walmart continues that value of the things that you need, I think their valuation will be structurally different than that of a Target.
Cool. All right. Well,
do you want to weigh in? If you don't,
okay, Johnny Sandbagger over there. Really, do we really need his opinion on this one?
Not.
So here's what I would say: is I'll let our listeners decide. We have a comment section.
Yeah, comment.
We have a comment section. Comment on it. Comment on who won this rap battle.
And we know we got some super fans out there, so I hope they side with a little bit of Walmart.
Gotcha. Well, and one thing I will say is that half of my argument is sour grapes because it's been a phenomenal stock here and I haven't owned it, and it's hurt to not. So I appreciate it. I thought that was fun. Yeah. Here's the reason I want to do these kinds of things every now and then is I think both of those are justified arguments, right? Yeah. And that's what happens in the stock market is sometimes you're going to get these right. Sometimes you're going to get them wrong. But overall, you can have differences of opinions, even on good companies like Walmart. And it's not necessarily that the stock, went up and my thesis was wrong. It just happens from time to time is that there's reasonable arguments on both sides. We don't know the future, but
that's what makes
what you got to take a shot.
The one thing that I'm a little bit surprised that you didn't point out is their dividend yield.
Oh.
It's only about 1% now.
Yeah, but so is the market's down to like 1.2, so nobody cares. Yeah. The dividend, so I like dividend yield. I pay a lot of attention to it. I pay more attention to dividend growth, and they've been growing pretty decently. Yeah. So I think dividend growth has been there.
It's hard when the stock's been so good.
And again, dividend yield follows price, right? At the end of the day, yield comes down because price goes up. Is that the worst case scenario? No. So that's why if they're paying their dividend and growing that dividend, I'm fine with that. A company that gives me a 7% yield, I'm usually more nervous about that because it's like, market clearly thinks that there's something wrong here,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's close it out on Walmart. I want to transition to a little spaghetti wall here. If you're from Minnesota, you already know this. If you're not, State Fair is like everything for us. The world shuts down for 2 weeks, right? When the State Fair is
Pretty
here,
much.
it's going to be 95 on Sunday. You mentioned, that's like a bad.
I think
State
it's
Fair
91,
environment.
but no clouds. So it's
even
gonna,
like more of a
just-
sweat box.
Oh,
There's
just
massive people.
baking
Yeah.
500,000
Yeah.
people on a blacktop in heated,
Yeah.
greased weather. All right, so let's start with. Do you guys go? Are you going to go this year?
I'll start because I'm out.
You're out. You're done.
Well, no, it's too many people for me. So
many
I'm not. I mean, and you'll hear from Tyler. He's a super fan. So I'm just the opposite. I don't go. So I'll throw in my little hack that my kids like to say is, when the State Fair is going on for this 2 weeks, traditionally my family goes down to Valley Fair because all the people in the state of Minnesota are at the State Fair. So Valley Fair, which rides and all that stuff.
Six Flags for those of you not in Minnesota.
Exactly. So there's no one there. It's perfect time to be going. So now the secret's out. I haven't gone for the last couple of years, so I figured I could share that secret now that I don't go anymore. And that that's a good place to go when
There you
everybody's
go.
at the State Fair.
Yeah,
There you
he
go.
goes the other way. Tyler, it sounds like you're a pro
Yes.
fair.
I don't know if we'll go this year.
What?
It's just so hard with
Two little ones.
we've got nap schedules and it's
That's for himself, not his kids, by the way.
Right.
But Steph and I used to work at the fair.
Okay.
So we worked at French Meadow Bakery for 2 or 3 years.
Mhm.
So like
Shout out.
we got to
Yeah, there you
know like all the places that we like and where the recurring stands are. So we know our way around it really well, rather than just like wandering around trying to find the random stuff that people are looking for. So we love it. Is it tiring? Absolutely. But our trick is that we try to get there probably around 8 o'clock in the morning and then leave around noon or 1. Because most people don't start showing up until like 10 to noon.
Yeah.
So by the time that you're sick of the crowds, you've already hit every place that you need to go.
Do you consume alcohol there ever?
Oh yeah.
No boy.
At the morning?
Is that a
The
question?
morning
Oh,
crew?
Yep.
He's pulling the 9 a.m.ers, huh?
I'm
All right.
we're starting off with a coffee at French Meadow just because we go say hi to all the people.
Yeah.
Like the owners. We still stay in touch as much as we can. And then it'll be beers after that.
Interesting.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Or
That's where the nap.
vodka slushies.
That's
or
where that nap
something.
comes
Yeah.
into play. You're an interesting dichotomy to me here, Tyler, is that you have kids. Usually people love to bring their kids to the fair. It sounds like now the kids are your reason not to go.
Well, I think it's they're not going to remember it.
Too little. I mean,
Too
years
little.
are.
You're
I
still
mean,
in the
we're
early
10 months
stages.
in,
Yeah,
in
that's
just over
true.
2 years. So like it's not
Then,
super
yeah.
enjoyable for them. I think the 2-year-old would love the farm
Yeah.
area. Not like
The
farm,
equipment.
the equipment area,
Yeah.
not I think he
Not
like the
the-
petting zoo area,
Right.
but I think he would like the construction farm equipment
Interesting.
more. But I just don't know that it'd be worth it.
Got it. All right. Let's talk about the food because that's what
you
mostly
that's
go
what
for.
you're the
right?
foodie guy. So
Oh.
what's your take on that?
Well, so let's start with favorite fair food, whether it's Minnesota State, or whether it's the state fair or just fair food in general. My favorite is mini donuts. I have to have mini donuts every time. I don't care if I'm at some rando fair where there's 12 people. If there's a mini donut stand, I'm hitting it. Those are the winners for me. And my wife, I love this about my wife. She loves the little machine. Like she could watch the machine for like an hour. She just thinks that's the coolest thing
Just
on the
dropping
planet.
the dough into
Just
the.
throw, the little
Okay.
automatic
Yeah.
machine that drops the dough in. She's just enamored by it.
All right.
And meanwhile, I get to eat mini donuts. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Very
hey, have
good.
fun. What about you guys? Favorite food?
That's tough. I have 3:
Wow.
deep fried pickles,
Okay.
deep fried fruit.
Oh,
That's fantastic. And then deep fried Oreos.
Yeah. How about a deep fried shoe? The way it sounds. Anything
Right,
goes on there.
exactly. yeah.
man. So good. Deep fried pickles may top it though.
Really.
Yeah.
Mm. Mine is mini donuts as well. And
Okay.
The other one I would say is I kind of a fan of cotton candy as well. Just
Oh,
the
interesting.
sugary kind
Just
of.
the sugary kick.
Yeah,
huh?
the
He
sugary
doesn't
kick.
know what kind of fair foods there are because he
Yeah,
doesn't.
I don't
doesn't
go.
to the.
You don't
No.
go,
He doesn't
but you,
go to
do you
I've
go
been
to
at
like
county fairs. Yeah. So
So you got to
Yeah,
get
so
county fairs.
They've got mini donuts and cotton candy. That's about all they got.
Yeah, well, they got burgers and stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
indifferent. They have other. I
Well,
mean,
that's where-
there's not all this pickled deep fried stuff. So
I was I was looking at the new foods for the fair last week. I think there was a couple of interesting ones, but I can't remember exactly what they were.
Like crocodile deep fried or something, right? There's all kinds of weird
I've tried
things.
that. It's not. It's just
not
like
good.
it's
Chicken.
Like chicken.
Yeah, it's like everything else chicken.
All right, give me your most overrated. Like, what do people eat and talk to you about that you're like, whatever?
Probably the one they hear about is always the cookies.
Oh, okay.
And they're fine.
Yeah.
I've had actually, but they're not like I'd stand in line for a bucket of cookies.
Right.
I mean, overpriced, too much, too many people. It's just all bad. I don't know why everybody goes to the fair.
It's just getting crankier as we go. Tyler, what do you got? What's overrated?
I do the corn.
Oh, okay. Because that's a staple of.
It's a staple of Minnesota State Fair.
Yeah.
And it's just.
It's corn.
Yeah.
Got it.
That's soaked in butter.
I will close with my hot take. I think the foot-long hot dog is the dumbest invention on the planet. It's terrible. It's a bad hot dog to begin with. Now, I don't mind a hot dog. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'll tear up a hot dog. A foot-long hot dog is way too much hot dog. It's disgusting. It's always
you been
like
to Costco?
It's the hot water oriented hot dog too. So it's not even on the grill, and it's just gross. So my hot take is stop eating foot-long hot dogs. They're terrible.
So Pronto Pup is the Minnesota State Fair. It's different than a corn dog.
Yeah, but these are hey,
just throwing that out there.
That's another component that corn dog versus Pronto Pup, whatever. I don't care about that. I'm just saying, don't get the big one with the foot long. One regular hot dog grilled is fine. You do not need a foot long hot water warm hot dog. It's disgusting. Stop it.
Wow. On that note,
on that note, we should close before I get even more mad. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and tune in next time. Like and subscribe, and we'll go from there. Take care.